After what went down on WWE's The Bump about a day or two ago, it's looking more and more likely, or near enough certain, that we're going to be getting Goldberg challenging Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship sometime in early 2021, beginning of 2021. So it's looking more and more likely. In this video today, I want to talk about Roman Reigns, the heel tribal chief, versus Goldberg, what I think of that, whether it's good or bad, what could happen, all that kind of stuff, because it's a real possibility. And after what happened with Goldberg on The Bump, where he said, quote, Goldberg's being interviewed and he said, quote, "Who's next? Roman's next. He backed out on me at WrestleMania. He stole my move. God knows how long ago, and he continues to perform it at a subpar level. Let's be perfectly honest. I'm the dude that delivers the spear. I don't think that he understands what it's like until I deliver it to him. So, Roman, it's coming, and I'm coming for you. I may be old, I may be grey, but I'm still Goldberg." So, Goldberg, Big Bill said that on The Bump with Matt Camp, Caleb Braxton, all those guys. Okay, Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. This match at WrestleMania 36, when it was initially meant to happen, as Goldberg was referring to there, or when Reigns backed out on him WrestleMania, that match, at the time, I really didn't care for it. Now, that's not just me being a bandwagon, and now I care simply because it's happening now. I didn't back then. Basically, back when the match was going to happen at WrestleMania 36, I didn't really care because Goldberg was coming off squashing The Fiend in Saudi Arabia. So by that stage, I pretty much nothing to Goldberg. I just had no feeling towards him. And Roman Reigns was the white meat, big dog babyface. That was Roman Reigns. That version of Roman Reigns was a great talent, but he wasn't really getting the chance to properly express it like he is nowadays. So when it was happening for WrestleMania 36, I wasn't really compelled. They did a few face-offs. They did that empty arena, contract signing, which I assume you're probably seeing the picture for in the thumbnail or on the screen now. They did that, and I was thinking to myself, okay, the spear versus spear, rightio, it is what it is. It's there. Goldberg and Reigns, it's a fun match. It's a fun match-up. Mainly more of a 2K type match as opposed to something I need to see in real life, but nonetheless, Reigns versus Goldberg. Okay, so that was then. Now, Roman Reigns is the best thing in pro wrestling. Roman Reigns is wrestling's one and only, true superstar. Some of the stuff Kenny Omega's doing at the moment is real superstar, status type stuff with the Impact crossover and being the collector and whatnot. But realistically, Roman Reigns, for the past 4 months, has certified himself, put a stamp of approval on his name as the top definitive star in wrestling. So this version of Roman Reigns, with Paul Heyman feuding with Jey Uso, having the match against Kevin Owens at TLC, this version of Roman Reigns, potentially and more than likely having a match with Bill Goldberg, feasibly, I don't know if this will work. I mean, I'm sure they'll make it work because Roman Reigns is exceptional at what he's doing, and I'm sure Goldberg and Reigns doing this whole spear for spear story could be quite good. But I feel like they're trying to do this whole thing where Goldberg is acting a bit like a heel, calling out Roman Reigns, saying, "Oh, Reigns stole my move. Oh, Roman Reigns was not the initial one to do the spear. I was. Roman Reigns can back off my turf. I'm an old, wily veteran who did the spear first." If they're going to try and go for that, I mean, that works best back with WrestleMania 36. That worked best back when it was white meat babyface Roman Reigns versus wily veteran heel Goldberg. Now it just seems like if and when they do this, based on what we've seen so far, it's going to be Goldberg as the wily veteran 53-year-old man who's way past his prime saying, "The spear's my move, Roman. The spear is my move. You stole it from me. You backed out at WrestleMania 36. And Roman Reigns will be there like, "I'm the tribal chief. I didn't back out. I'm the head of the table," and that kind of thing. So I don't know if the dynamic will work too well. Ideally, what they do is have Roman Reigns just obliterate Goldberg on the microphone, because this version of Roman Reigns can more than do that. I think Reigns just ripping apart Goldberg, calling him a battered old man, someone who can't hang with him in the ring, someone who, once you get past 3 minutes, he can't even move. Just Roman Reigns ripping Goldberg. I think that'd be sick. The heel tribal chief Roman Reigns just doesn't give a damn about anything, just goes to town on Goldberg, beats him at the Rumble. That's like ideal. And really, that's the only thing that would make sense, because in my opinion, assuming they're not doing a Saudi show next year, which I don't think they are, Reigns versus Goldberg seems like the perfect match as like a one-off for the Rumble. It's two big stars, two big names going at it, a kind of harmless world title match, a world title match that will draw interest, but it's not going to totally steal the show. It's not going to take away credit from the Rumble. And the Rumble can be like the big attraction, and Reigns can just get a title defense up over Goldberg. Because Goldberg, I mean, God forbid Goldberg wins. I mean, could you imagine wrestling Twitter? Oh my, I mean, I'd be guilty of it myself. I tweeted out yesterday, if Goldberg squashes Reigns in 3 minutes, oh my word. I tweeted that out yesterday. Could you imagine if Goldberg squashes Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, in like 3 minutes? Bruh. Like, Vince wouldn't allow that to happen given, it's Roman Reigns, but oh my god. I mean, I don't think the backlash would be as bad as the stuff with The Fiend or Kevin Owens. I don't imagine it would be, because actually then again, it should be a lot worse. I mean, if Goldberg, God forbid, heaven forbid, Goldberg squashes Roman Reigns in 3 minutes with a couple of spears and a botched jackhammer. If that happens, wrestling Twitter, I'd just delete Twitter for like 5 days. Wrestling Twitter would be an abomination, dude. It would be worse than when JD and Hana Kimura, or whatever, when JD and Alexa Bliss had that beef like 2 days after Hana Kimura tragically took her life. It would be worse and more toxic than that. And if you remember, and you're on wrestling Twitter back in May when that happened, that was some of the most toxic, just sickening crap I've ever seen. How people were treating each other on Twitter, how Twitter was so toxic. It would be as bad, if not worse, if Goldberg somehow squashed Roman Reigns. That'd be like the nail in WWE's coffin. Because Roman Reigns is the guy. He's not Bray Wyatt, he's not Kevin Owens, he's not some fat guy who WWE are trying to make a main eventer and have main event potential but aren't really quite there. Reigns is there. Reigns is the guy. So imagine if they have Goldberg do this, and for example, Goldberg squashes Reigns to win the Universal title at the Rumble. Holy hell. But nah, that's not going to happen. Realistically, if and most likely when they do Goldberg versus Roman Reigns, early 2020, probably at the Rumble, I'd imagine. Maybe they'll do it in February, but look, I don't know what they're going to do with Reigns' title run, because I think they're definitely doing this Goldberg thing. A lot of people have mentioned Daniel Bryan. I think that's a really real possibility, and I guess ideally WrestleMania 37 versus The Rock. I mean, that'd be ideal. But if The Rock can't make it, then I guess you do Reigns versus Big E. But even then, I feel like Reigns versus Big E is too early just now. I think Reigns versus Big E at SummerSlam would be a better option. So if Reigns can't make it and Big E's too early, do you do Reigns versus Goldberg at WrestleMania? Spear versus Spear? I mean, that wouldn't be the greatest WrestleMania match for Roman Reigns. I mean, like, Roman Reigns, given the work he's been doing in the past 4 months, ideally his WrestleMania match is something a bit more compelling. Maybe you want to build up Daniel Bryan and have Bryan do another one of these underdog stories and Reigns just beats him at Mania. Maybe that. I don't know, Reigns' title run's a bit of a weird one, but hopefully they just keep this momentum going with Roman. He's doing some great work. The Kevin Owens thing, it's the perfect like December filler pay-per-view match. It'll be a fun match at TLC. It's a predictable as hell like outcome. Reigns will obviously retain, but it's going to be a fun match. The segments have been decent. The stuff on SmackDown last week was good. So hopefully, overall, Reigns can go through to the Rumble, or heaven forbid, WrestleMania versus Goldberg, beat him, not lose. Because as I've probably gotten the title here, Reigns versus Goldberg is good unless you have Goldberg squash Reigns. So that's been the video. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and drill. See ya.